So this will be the much shorter and worse edited video than most. I just feel like I should probably talk about the 2025 first ranking series in Zagreb, which I'll be referring to as the Zagreb Open for the rest of this video, that just wrapped up, as there are some interesting things about the tournament that I feel are worth talking about. First, probably the most annoying thing, the empty stands. So yeah, this was not a very well attended tournament by spectators. I'm pretty sure every single person in attendance for most of the matches were members of the national team of the people that were wrestling. Matches that were heavily anticipated in the wrestling world, like Spencer Lee finally wrestling Roman Bravo Young, had no one in the stands. This isn't because wider people don't care. The video of the match on Flow Wrestling currently sits at nearly 150,000 views. The lack of audience is because the locals don't. Think about it. The meet's in Zagreb, Croatia. Wrestling is not very popular in Croatia, to say the least. I'm pretty sure they didn't even have a single wrestler enter the meet that was being hosted in their country, so why would any locals show up on a work night to watch a sport they don't care about? They wouldn't, and didn't. I commented on that Lee vs. RBY video about how if this match, and indeed this tournament, had taken place somewhere where wrestling is popular, like the US, Japan, Iran, Turkey, Azerbaijan, or Kyrgyzstan, then the stands would have been a lot more full, and I stand by that, as every meet that is held there has better attendance. I really do question UWW's insistence to have this meet, the second most stacked international meet of the year, second only to Worlds, in a country where no one cares about the sport. The optics of big meets in empty stands are, and always have been, terrible. I worry for Worlds, which I'm pretty sure will take place in the same venue, but I guess if attendance sucks again, then I'll talk about that after Worlds, not before. Next, I guess, is really just how thin and just how bad the women's wrestling quality, and indeed quantity, was at this tournament. Most of that is that Europe really does not have a high level of women's wrestling talent, as only 2 of the top 10 women's teams at the Olympics were European teams, number 7 Ukraine and number 9 Turkey, and most of the people wrestling were from Europe, so there was terrible women's attendance as a result. How bad? Well, 50, 62, 65, 68, 72, and 76 kilogram weight classes had so few people that they had to do round robin. 57 kilograms only had 2 people, so the whole tournament for that weight class was 1 match. 53 kilos was even worse, as only 1 person signed up, and so the entire weight class was removed. This is a major international meet, mind you, and to the fact that entire weight classes can just not have brackets, because most of the Americas and Asias didn't want to travel, is pretty bad. I mean, 76 kilogram Olympic silver medalist Kennedy Blades went down 2 weight classes all the way down to 68 kilos. She ran through the bracket with ease. No one of her 4 opponents in the 5-woman round robin made it out of the first period, and she even hit multiple suplexes, on the way to win. Anyway, that's just how bad the level of competition was. Most of the people that the US sent won, despite none of them being their best at their weight class, except for maybe Skeleton Blades. I'm really not sure what UWW can do about this, besides, of course, fixing the weight classes. It's just that there aren't many women who wrestle in Europe. Moving on from that and actually talking about the wrestlers themselves, world champions losing to people they have no business losing to. 3-time reigning 55 kilogram world champion Eldeniz Azizli getting tech-fouled, and 2024 world champion at 63 kilos Mamedili both losing at 60 kilos to Meroy Bagramov. Definitely butchered that name. This was definitely a big tournament for the young Uzbekistani, but he did get tech-fouled in the semifinal and again in the bronze medal match, which cannot have felt good. The 2 Azerbaijani world champions, though, this is not a great result. The other world champion loss that I find somewhat noteworthy is Ismail Musakayev losing round 1 at 70 kilogram freestyle to the US's Jared Jaques, who by my count is Team USA's number 4 at the weight. But guess fact is, Musakayev just looked small at 70 kilograms. He started out as an elite 57 kilogrammer, and even though he's really good at 65 kilos, he just does not have the frame to be elite at 70 kilos. There are also a lot of comments on how Musakayev looked fat and out of shape, and his poor cardio in this match was the result of that, And yeah, you could definitely see his belly through his singlet, and you couldn't at 65 kilos at the World Championships. Honestly, he looked to be better shape at 71 kilos wrestling for SV Wacker Berghausen last month, so I think he just didn't focus enough on conditioning far out enough to get in shape for this meet. I don't think he's washed or anything like that. Next is that Amirreza Masoumi of Iran looks terrifying. At 21, in wrestling at freestyle super heavyweight class, he's already won pretty much everything at age level. In this meet, he finally won his first senior level tournament. He ran through the bracket, shutting out every single opponent he faced. And in the final, against 2023 world bronze medalist, 2024 Olympian, and pending the international wrestling return of Gable Stevenson, the US's #1, Mason Paris, Masoumi tech-falled him in the first round. Unlike Iran's current #1, Amir Zahreh uses push-outs and counter-wrestling to score. Masoumi's primary offense comes from takedowns and the parterre gut wrenches. Iran's going to have a lot of deciding to do on who to send at 125 kilos between Zahreh and Masoumi for both the Asian Championships and Worlds after that, and we'll see who they pick. Either way, watch out for this guy, if not now, then in the future. He's good. And last, but certainly not least, the main thing I'm talking about. The dumbest, stupidest way to lose a major international tournament, Sohrabi of Iran versus Levai of Hungary for the 72kg Greco-Roman finals. I won't go too much in detail about the path the two men took to get there, but Levai got there by 4-1, 5-1, then 1-1, the last of which being against Iran's top 72kg wrestler and also world champion Garay, and Sohrabi got to the finals via bye, forfeit, and 6-1. So the match starts, and after a bit, Sohrabi, intentionally or not, started grabbing Levai's fingers by interlocking and pushing with his hands. This is illegal in wrestling, and so the ref stopped the match and gave Garay a warning. The match restarted, and after a bit, the ref warned Sohrabi again for finger grabbing. Then, at 5 minutes 21 seconds on the clock, Sohrabi was clearly grabbing Levai's fingers, and both the Hungarian coach and the ref noticed instantly. Levai was given 2 points, and Sohrabi was given a caution. Now I just want to go into the rules, because the rules clearly state that any instance of confirmed negative wrestling, such as finger grabbing or interlocking fingers, results in a caution, and in Greco-Roman, 2 points being given to the opponent. The referee gave Sohrabi 2 warnings, which are 2 more than he strictly speaking needed to. The ref gave him the benefit of the doubt twice, but the third time was too much. The referee saw it, the match judge confirmed it, and so the rules were followed to the letter. There's no debate on whether or not this is the correct call. This is exactly what was in the rulebook, and those were the rules that were followed, perfectly. Anyone who says the refs made the wrong call here of giving Levai 2 points is objectively and absolutely wrong. Moving on with the match, afterwards, Sohrabi managed to get 2 push-outs in fairly rapid succession, then won a passivity call to give him the lead 3-2. Sohrabi couldn't quite turn Levai, so stalemate was called. In a minute that remained of the first period, neither could score on each other, though Sohrabi did get close to another push-out. The second period started, and Levai started strong, pushing Sohrabi around, but Sohrabi used Levai's pushing against him and baited him into an arm spin. But Levai's defense was too good, and managed to plant his head on the mat and somehow cartwheel over Sohrabi to free his arm and get back to his feet. After a long bit of Levai being the more aggressive wrestler, the referee gave another warning to Sohrabi, and then eventually a passivity call towards Levai, giving Levai the lead via criteria. Levai got on top, and while he managed to get Sohrabi lifted, he couldn't quite find the leverage to get a 4-point parterre lift, so he had to drop Sohrabi, and the referee called a stalemate. As he was down, Sohrabi needed points, so he was pushing Levai desperately, but Levai was meeting him. The referee still gave Sohrabi a passivity call, but no point, as there can only be 1 point of passivity call per period. Sohrabi decided to remain neutral as opposed to parterre, which made sense, as all of his points so far had come from neutral. After talking to his coach about something, he started pushing Levai around and nearly got another push-out, but Levai stayed in bounds and circled around to get an easy takedown. But Sohrabi defended by a possibly unintentional, but definitely done, illegal singlet grab, but the ref didn't notice, and the match continued. Sohrabi immediately went for a flying squirrel, and although the headlock was quite tight, Levai somehow managed to get out of position without exposing his back to the mat, and he was never even really close to doing so. Sohrabi and his coach thought he had exposed his back to the mat and challenged. This challenge was dumb. Levai had been nowhere close to going to his back, and so it never would have worked. Not challenging meant that if Sohrabi got a push out like he had before and almost had since, he was winning. Losing the challenge meant that Sohrabi needed to score 2 points by exposure or takedown to win against somebody who had been consistently harder to put on his back than a cat. The match judges looked at it, agreed with the initial call, and Levai gained a point from Sohrabi losing the challenge. Despite trying for the next 30 seconds, Sohrabi couldn't score, and Levai won the match, and thus the Zagreb Open 4-3. Sohrabi had done something I hadn't thought possible, scoring more points for your opponent than you did for yourself if you take the criteria advantage of precaution into account, which I do. Through the 2 penalties of finger grabbing and the bad challenge, Sohrabi had managed to lose by the equivalent score of 2 own goals to 1. And in my mind, the dumbest way to lose a major international tournament finals. Not to take anything away from Levai, of course, some of those bits of defending in this match were highlight reel stuff, and to do that at 19 years old is really impressive. So that wraps up this video. This is a bit longer than I thought it would be, so if you did watch it to the end, thanks, and I'd really appreciate it that if you did like the video, and if you want to see more videos, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed. I'll be covering the Lee vs. Ono Flow Wrestling card next, most likely, and I guess I'll push my February video to March or April or something, I'm not sure. But anyways, bye.